PVRs. Now to the NFL. The AFC West is stacked. Arguably the toughest quarterback division, with Russell Wilson joining Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes without Tyreek Hill, Derek Carr with arguably the best receiver in Davante Adams. Here's Broncos GM George Paton on his Super Bowl winning QB.
I just think when you have a unique player, you go get them, and that's what we did. And I'm not sure about the other teams, but it was a unique opportunity for us to get a franchise quarterback, and we did.
Meanwhile, Andy Reid losing a unique player, speaking for the first time since Tyreek Hill went to Miami. Take a listen.
We came in aggressive, and then after we got to a point, we just said, listen, in this day and age, you have issues that you have to deal with the cap, and so we felt like it was better to allow him to go ahead and be traded. So I love Tyreek Hill. There was no rift between Tyreek Hill and myself. I thought he deserved an opportunity if that's where he wanted to go. It put him in a place where his home, where he has a home, and at the same time, it gave us great compensation.
Andy's shirt really giving me vacay vibes. Nick and Dan back here with us. Nick, which AFC West quarterback's in the best situation right now?
I think it's Justin Herbert right now. The additions that they made, like they have Bosa opposite Mack on defense, really impressive. They added J.C. Jackson at the cornerback spot, and they have Derwin James, who might be the best football player, just period, in all of football. When he's healthy, I'm not sure that there's anyone better at their position than Derwin James, maybe next to Aaron Donald. He's that good a player. And that's not even until you get to the offensive side of the ball, where they revamped their offensive line. They got all-pro level tackle and Slater, who's still in his second year on a rookie deal. They have both of those receivers back, and they got Austin Eckler in the backfield. I think the only spot where you could argue that he is not better set than the rest of the quarterbacks in the division is the coaching spot. And I think Brandon Staley's a smart coach, and he's going to get better as he goes along. But I think other than that, everyone else in that division has some deficiencies, and I'm not sure that this roster has too many deficiencies on them compared to the rest of their division.
Yeah, I disagree. I think it's Russell Wilson. Now, I agree with a lot of the things that you said in regards to the Chargers. Listen, this division is an absolute bloodbath. It's incredibly loaded. The reason I say the Broncos is this, and it's Russell Wilson. They can do schematically whatever is necessary to win and play well offensively in football games. The scheme that Nathaniel Hackett, their new head coach, is bringing over from Green Bay, it is from that Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Gary Kubiak tree, which we know has the ability to have quarterbacks put up huge numbers, but also if teams aren't going to allow the quarterback to throw the ball a ton, it's got one of the most diverse run games in the NFL historically. This guy, Nathaniel Hackett's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL for the last 6 years, okay? For context for everybody at home, he's had a top 10 run game 4 out of those 6 years. One of those was in Jacksonville, okay? His quarterbacks on average, in those 6 years, 3 of them were with Blake Bortles, 3 of them were with Aaron Rodgers, over 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. So we're talking about schematically just placing a quarterback in. Sometimes they're great in Aaron, sometimes they're average to below average in Blake Bortles. They perform well. Now we're adding it to an offensive line that's good, one of the best running backs in young running backs in football in Javonte Williams, and a plethora of skill positions. I'm not saying that this is a blowout over Justin Herbert or the Las Vegas or even Patrick, but just the ability to do either or. And I'm starting to think Kansas City, but the ability to do either or matters to me.
The reason why we push back, and this is what I think most people are considering one of the toughest divisions in the history of football. So, there are really no bad choices in this division. But I would push back because the one deficiency that I think that we could point to the Chargers is the coaching spot. And Nathaniel Hackett, as much as you raved about him, he's still a question mark. We haven't seen him as a head coach. It's very different than being an offensive coordinator. So there is still a question mark there at that spot. Absolutely. You can't guarantee that he is going to be an exceptional head coach, which I think is what it's going to take. And the other place I push back is offensive line. If you didn't think the offensive line in Seattle was all that good, you're looking at statistically a comparable offensive line. The Broncos' offensive line was not as good as people are talking about. It wasn't a great upgrade. He's moving to a similar situation. Russell is, from the pressure standpoint and from the run game standpoint, he's moving to a similar situation with 2 all-pro receivers. It's a lot Go look up the numbers, Dan. Turn your face sideways all you want. Look
Yeah,
up
but
the
the
numbers.
numbers.
They were not a dominant offensive line.
All right, so this is why I think like the scheme matters so much.
Oh yeah,
One,
the scheme will take the
this-
pressure off of them because of their ability to run the ball. I agree
Correct.
with that. But
So,
the
like,
fact that
that-
the
this
talent,
offensive line
the
will-
talent isn't there.
But the offensive line is going to perform better because this scheme is so. Look at the coaches that have come from this tree in the NFL right now. We're talking Sean McVay. We're talking Matt LaFleur. We're talking Zach Taylor. Like these coaches, they go from this tree that are very sound in this scheme, and then Arthur Smith, and then they go and become really, really good at that role. And that's why I don't know Nathaniel Hackett personally, but I'll bet money that he's going to be really good in Denver.
My point with that is you're right. All those coaches have had a lot of success, but all those coaches, I don't think any of them made their quarterbacks. It's a result also of the quarterbacks being really impressive in that situation. So I'm not making the point that Russell Wilson is not a good enough quarterback to do it. I'm making the point that you can't guarantee that Nathaniel Hackett is that great of a coach. Like we're looking at Sean McVay, Witten had to get Matt Stafford, right?
Let me ask you
Go
one
ahead.
question. Hypothetical world. If I took Russell Wilson and put him on the Chargers and I put Justin Herbert on the Broncos, who then do you think is in a better situation?
I still think it's Russell Wilson. Like, I still think it's the Chargers. I like what the Chargers have, the flexibility they have going forward, because it also goes to the money that's going to be tied up in Russell Wilson when they extend him eventually, and the money that's already tied up in his contract now. That gives the roster less flexibility. Justin Herbert is still, they have him on a rookie deal. They have Slater on a rookie deal. Derwin James is coming to the end of his rookie deal. Like that roster.
But they got
has
one more year with
flexibility.
Herbert on the rookie deal, right? Like realistically, they
Agreed.
got this one season.
Well, they get one more year, and then they backload the contract and
Sure.
amortize the cap hit over all of that. I still think that, like we talked about Patrick Mahomes, the bill is just coming due for Patrick Mahomes, despite the fact that he already signed the contract. So that's my point, is there's more time. It's a better situation there. Your point about Nathaniel Hackett in that offense is a good one. If Nathaniel Hackett had head coaching experience, I'd be a little bit more comfortable in that. We don't know, because being a head coach, we see from Mike McCarthy that it's more than just scheming an offense. There are other things that's going to be required of him that he's yet to do.
And I also have to see what happens at the end of April in the draft with Kansas City, Molly. Like that's my answer today. But if Kansas City goes out and gets a Jahan Dotson and then a Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State and Penn State, they got 4 picks in the top 62. That changes the way I look at the offenses in this division.
Real quick, guys, before we go to break, I'm just curious. It felt like the NFC West was the best division in football. Do you feel like it's now the AFC West?
Oh God, yes. I don't. Yeah. I think Dom saying it's one of the best divisions ever is completely accurate.
The worst quarterback in there is a top 15 guy, and that's rare. And there's a bunch of good defense.
And he has the best receiver in football on his team.
It's going to be scary.
Absolutely. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Still come here on First Take. Devin Booker, Joel Embiid both made their case for MVP last night, but which star has the tougher path to the NBA Finals? You don't want to miss that debate. And the reaction to Deshaun Watson's introductory press conference was mixed at